Flowing ad budget on metrics that look great till the CFO sees them, that's bull spend. And marketers are calling it out in Dashboard Confessions.
I remember telling my boss, it'll be good for the brand, when leads were slow. Yeah, it wasn't.
Cut the bull spend. LinkedIn lets you target by company, job title, and more. Advertise on LinkedIn. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a $250 credit. Go to linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Experience a membership that backs what you're building with American Express Business Platinum. Unlock over $3,500 in business and travel value annually with statement credits on select purchases from brands like Dell, Hilton, and Adobe, and other benefits. American Express Business Platinum. There's nothing like it. Based on total potential value of statement credits on select purchases and other benefits, enrollments required, monthly and other limits and terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum.
My name is Brian Pack.
And I'm Nicole Barlow.
This is Soundtrack Your Life, where we speak with the guests about a soundtrack that is important to them. Today, our guest is actress Nicole Alyse Nelson. She stars in the Julie Axe and Steve Pinder Oscar-nominated short film, Jane Austen's period drama. Welcome, Nicole.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
You know, this is an honor for us. I don't think we've interviewed anyone that is in an Oscar-nominated project before. So this is a big deal. And this was in this past Oscars in March, so this is the 2026 ceremony. So I'm sure it has been quite a journey for you and for this project. What were kind of your initial thoughts on joining this project?
It well, okay, let's back up. This project actually came to me really casually. It's not something I ever imagined would go to the Oscars, which we were all just so thrilled and just pleasantly surprised that our little project touched so many people and really had the outcome that it did. Um, I have a friend named Dustin Ingram who actually ended up in Jane Austen's period drama. He's Dr. Bangley, who comes in at the very end. And at the time, he's been friends with Julie and Steve for a couple years. So he'd heard about the project and their progress with it. And when they were getting close to actually filming it, they were just telling him, we're in the casting phase. And he recommended me. He's like, I know this girl that I just think would absolutely kill this part. You've got to see her. So I sent them a tape, and I got a call a couple later being like, "Yeah, we'd love to have you do this thing." And at that point, I still didn't have the full script. I didn't know much other than these are people that my friend Dustin really vouches for and says they're awesome creative people. And I had the audition sides that I was given, which was about 2 pages long, and that's all I knew. So everything was quite a pleasant surprise, from just how great the experience would actually be to how clever the script actually was and just how far it would go. So it's all just been a very pleasant surprise.
And it is extremely clever, without ruining the premise or without ruining too much of the short film. It's a satire, and it's billed as being quite literally a period piece. Can you tell us a little bit more about what it's about?
Yeah, so it's definitely a comedy. And it takes the idea of this like classic Jane Austen style and it makes it modern with the topic that we're talking about. It is a period piece about actual periods, and we are tackling the topic of menstruation and how it's taboo and why it's not more of a subject and why more people don't even have like basic knowledge about what's going on in women's bodies. And yes, it was definitely more of an issue back in the olden days, but it still is an issue. And we were, trending in the right direction, but these things need to be said. And I think that when you're doing a comedy, it's just a great light way to tackle honestly like serious subjects.
Yeah, it's such a great reversal because the movie starts with this proposal moment that's very classically Austen, and then it kind of descends into this conversation about menstruation and about periods. And I felt like this is something they should play in health class. Like, this is something that, like, people should watch both in a funny way, but also in kind of a serious way for all of the reasons that you just mentioned.
Honestly, yeah. I babysat for a family like, oh, I don't know, 8 years ago, and I randomly got a message throughout the Oscar season that was like, "Oh, at my daughter's school, they're showing Jane Austen's period drama to the kids." And I thought, "Oh, I'm so glad that's happening." I don't know how many schools are doing that, but I agree. I mean, for a school in LA that's like heavy in the business, heavy in films, somebody got the idea that like young kids need to be exposed to this because it's relevant, it's good cinema, it's going to the Oscars, and everybody should know about this subject. So I was really happy to hear that.
Yeah, because the whole thing revolves around this kind of comedy of errors and manners, right? Where, Mr. the names are so funny. Mr. Dickley, who's kind of the stand-in for Mr. Darcy, has never even heard of a period before. And so that, obviously is like hilarity ensues. I think it's really cool that it's actually being played at some progressive Silver Lake elementary school because it's so perfect for that. It's like very much like explaining something that people do not talk about enough and that shouldn't be taboo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and my initial thoughts when I heard about the project was like, wait, this is going to the Oscars? This is Oscar nominated? There's a very high bar to clear for a Jane Austen satire. I kind of think of it as like there's probably a million kids this year that will try to do some sort of American history report in the form of rap, and none of them become the next Lin-Manuel Miranda. And I kind
Right.
of feel like that with Jane Austen stuff. Like you can't just, put on a British accent and some old-timey clothes and get nominated for an Oscar. Like it actually has to be of quality. There's a very high bar to clear, and you guys cleared it. I watched it and I was like, okay, I get it. This is very clever, very well written, well directed, well acted. And so I understand why it made this journey. It's not just,
Thank
some
you.
this is not some improv sketch class, uh this is not like a sketch class thing where, people are just being silly for 10 minutes. It's really good.
Thank you. I think we definitely knew we were making something of quality, but what the shock of the whole journey with ending at the Oscars definitely comes from, there's an idea of the type of films that are Oscar nominated, and they're typically very heavy and sad and just they linger in your mind in like a really somber way. And I think we were just so pleasantly surprised because ours is so different. It is the most, like articles came out, like it being like, oh, Jane Austen's period drama is the most polarizing of anything in the category because you either get it or you don't, you love it or you hate it, and it is like a farcical, fun thing, which you don't see a ton of represented at a place like the Oscars.
Yeah, I think that's so funny. And that's a really good point that it's, taking a risk because it's talking about it's still a taboo subject in talking about periods and it's a comedy. So like two things that maybe wouldn't necessarily be viewed as Oscars bait, but it really works, as Ryan said, it's really successful. Were you a fan of Austen going into this? Did you, have a favorite Pride and Prejudice adaptation? Like, what was your relationship to Jane Austen going into this role?
Well, I have to admit, I had actually never seen any movie that was like a Jane Austen film. I think my only connection to it was like there was a book that we had to read in high school that was a Jane Austen book. I'm not even remembering which one. But that was like, we read like a chapter a week or whatnot, and I understood like the vibes, but I think what I was most excited about because once I heard I booked it, I started watching, I started catching up. But I was just really excited to dive into something of that era with like the 1800s, like the styling and also the accent. My partner is British, and I spent about a year in England, like total, like I've lived there for about a year, and I really was excited to showcase my accent and like do it right and do it well, because there's nothing worse than like you were saying, Ryan, like a bunch of Americans just putting on an outfit and playing dress up and doing some terrible accent. Like I really wanted it to be authentic, and so that's kind of what I tried to put my energy towards.
Yeah, that must be so much pressure because you're not only trying to inhabit this role and get the accent right, but your partner is British as well. So it's like you have multiple judges. One of your judges is at home.
Yeah, he actually came on to be the dialect coach because
Oh, that's
we
great.
we were talking with them, and they were in the process of like interviewing people for the gig, and all of the people they had in consideration were amazing dialect coaches. They'd been doing it for many years, but they were all American. And I was telling them about Jonah, and I was like, the thing about him is like he's an actor like us. He's done dialect coaches, but from the other way around. Like he's been the person learning, so he knows how these sessions go, and he has the ear to have the little intricacies of like, oh, that's not exactly posh enough. And so, and plus it was super casual, like everybody knows him and everybody likes him. So he came on to do that, and it was great because anytime I had a question, I could just like lean over and like I wasn't researching something. I was just like, is it this?
Yeah, that's great. And so you're working with Julia, who not only is the star, she's also the director and the writer. How is it working with someone that's wearing all three hats at the same time?
You know, I can't imagine what that would be like. I feel like if I was transitioning from acting into directing, I wouldn't be able to direct and act on my first project because there's such different hats. But Julia did it flawlessly. And because obviously we had Julia and Steve, I noticed that they kind of quickly assumed these roles of like when it's a Julia heavy scene, the hat she's wearing is acting, and that's her part, and Steve steps in and is like the main director. And every now and again she would like get up from that moment and like look at things, but like Steve was behind the camera, making a lot of the calls. And then any shot that Julia wasn't in, she would then get up and talk with the DP about lighting. And like she switched very seamlessly. And it's definitely a role for her that I think that she's just going to continue to soar in, like as a director and as a writer. They're both just so talented and so kind, and I think that those things will go far in this business because at the end of the day, people just want to work with good people, and they're both just such nice, good people.
Yeah, so as Ryan said, she plays Estrogenia Talbot in the film. The three sisters in the film, one of which you play as well. You play Vagiana Talbot. I love these names. I feel like these names are really good litmus test for whether or not you're going to vibe with this comedy. You play Vagiana Talbot, one of the sisters who obviously is send up of the Bennett sisters from Pride and Prejudice. You have some really funny scenes, not only with your co-stars, but with a chicken. Can you tell us what it was like to work with this comedy chicken?
Yes, absolutely. Working with the chicken was a real standout for me. I love animals. And one of the only things I knew when I was auditioning was I got a little breakdown, and it was like the age, one of the sisters must be comfortable with a live chicken. So I was like, okay, I don't fully know where this is going, but I understand this is like part of the job. And I'm a vegetarian. I kept telling her, I made sure she knew I was on her side. I was like, I don't eat you and I respect you. And so I was like, establishing that connection with her from the get-go so she felt comfortable. And my thing was I really didn't want to hurt the chicken. I was like, I understand I'm like throwing her to the ground and I'm running down the hall. And I was like, I want to do this safely and convincingly. So we had a ton of rehearsal, but the chicken was the only aspect we did not have the pleasure of rehearsing with in advance. They showed up on the day, and that was that. And the scene that, well, yeah, the moment that made it into the final cut where I'm picking up the chicken and walking out, and she's flapping, that was the very first take. And it was an accident, it was a mistake. I was just supposed to pick up the chicken and walk out. And they had warned me right before we went. They're like, when you lift her from the ground, her instinct is going to be to flap her wings. So you just have to hold her by the wings so she can't like do that. And I was like, okay, yeah, no problem. And I thought I grabbed the wings, but I very clearly did not. And when she was flapping, one of the wings actually went into my mouth. And
Oh
I just
no.
remember thinking in that moment, just get out of frame. Just get out of frame as quickly as possible so you do not ruin this take. And that was the only take that happened on. And that was the take that they went with.
So there wasn't so they brought the chicken, but there wasn't like any formal training. It was just like, oh, this is kind of how you hold a chicken and try to hold it by the
Yes.
wings.
Yes, that was all I got.
I mean, what were the chicken's previous credits? Was this an experienced on-screen chicken?
I don't
How do
I
you
kind
cast a chicken?
I know. I asked the handler that. I was like, because these are, I guess there's this production, where you can hire these animals and they're raised around people and they can take commands, so to speak. But honestly, the way we worked with the chicken mostly was we just put a bunch of like little feed on the ground. Like if we didn't want her to go far, like if she was supposed to stay in the frame, all you had to do was sprinkle some food and she would just sit there and like peck away and eat the whole take. So that was our trick with her. But I was like, I don't know how they pick and I don't know what they've done, but they brought in multiple chickens for the day just in case one of them was not feeling it. And we mostly used one, which was the one that I dropped and then picked up again. But the one the shot where I was running down the hallway, that was a different chicken because the guy that we hired, the handler, he like knew them, He knows their personalities and he knows like he was like, so this one is gonna be great at like the physical stuff, and this one's fine if you're running. And I'm like, I love that you know this about them because the one that I could drop and pick up does not like people running. So he knew his chickens. I don't know how many other credits they had, but like this guy was legit.
The chicken wrangler. I love this story so much. That's so fun. Also, relatable queen for just if you don't want to do something on screen, just have a little seed. Just have a little seed. Keep it moving.
Yes.
That's how
Works
I
on
would
my
be.
kids.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in the car for 2 hours? Here's some snacks.
Yeah.
Just keep the snacks going.
Well, I like how you have this professional chicken expert on set, just like you had a professional dialect coach on set. I'm glad they
Yes.
really, really took care of you guys.
Yeah, really really had to do things right.
Well, yeah, if you're going to do Jane Austen, you have to do it right. So the music in the film, it was scored by Alex Winkler, and it's very like appropriate for a period piece. And then you hit the end credits, where you have a song called "Slide Up" featuring Bryce Charles, also written by Alex Winkler, but very different from the score. When did you become aware of "Slide Up," or was it a surprise? Like you watched it and then here's
Like,
the song.
they told us about it, but hearing it was a surprise when, like, we got the final cut and I saw it all come together. Like, it was one of those things where they're, like, really excited about how it's coming along and Bryce and everybody's like, "This is awesome." But yeah, I also was pleasantly surprised with just the score in general, like, the music, all of the music you just mentioned. I don't I don't believe I heard until the first time I watched it. It's hard to recall because I've seen it so many times and it's been an ongoing thing in my life, but I'm pretty sure they were both surprises and I was like jaw-dropping. This is amazing. Amazing choices all the way around. Such great music.
You may think you know McDonald's drinks, but you don't know them like this. From fruity refreshers like the strawberry watermelon refresher and the mango pineapple refresher with popping boba, to crafted sodas like the Sprite Berry Blast with berry flavored Sprite topped with cold foam. Who knew ice cold drinks could be so fire? 6 all new drinks are here. Try them all now at McDonald's. Refreshers contain caffeine.
Yeah, absolutely. And that song is hilarious. And like I said, kind of with the Lin-Manuel Miranda thing, like to make a song about it, like sure, there's many people who could try to make a funny song about it, but to succeed in the way that Alex Winkler and Blythe Charles did on Slide Up, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and I also think it's so cleverly like brings you right back. Like the end credits song kind of encapsulates the energy of the whole thing. And it's like this is modern, this is funny. It's just like a great send-off piece.
Yeah, it really is. We spoke to composer Archer Marsh, who worked on Bridgerton and who's responsible for some of those string quartet arrangements that are in Bridgerton, with things like Pitbull's "Give Me Everything" that kind of went viral for a moment there. So it's fun to have these anachronisms, these little bits of, modern songwriting that are in something that is a period drama. Was there any other kind of like, we want to approach this as being like a little bit more modern in the way that we're playing these characters? Or was it very much like, no, we're going to stick to it being like very true to the period? So I guess in essence, like, did you approach it more like Jane Austen or did you approach it more like we want to be a little more Bridgerton?
I think we didn't spend too much time on like making choices that felt period. So I think it was more like if you can nail the accent and if you can just like be authentically in the moment, more like a modern Bridgerton style. Like, I think that the costume and the set and the editing and the music, all of it is coming together to kind of make the vibes. So there was definitely a lot of trust in all the other departments because every single person was at the top of their game and had it not looked as amazing and the costumes and like you know what I mean? There maybe would have been more work on our part to, like, sell that, but, I just every department really killed it, and I think that's why it looks and feels, so Jane Austen, because of them, honestly.
The costuming is great and the backdrops are great too. Where did you film this?
So it was split between Los Angeles, which was all the indoor stuff. They actually found like a house, like a mansion that really is like untouched by time. It was a crazy, crazy place. I was like, how is this in LA? Like it's super cool. And that was we shot there for I think 2 days. And then all the exteriors with like the rolling green hills, they went to upstate New York.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, it was like, only the 2 actors were needed for that with, like, a skeleton crew, and they went up there and shot for a day. So a lot of us also, pleasant surprise, like, I wasn't there for that. Fagiana wasn't needed in the rolling green hills, but, I watched it and I was like, "This is stunning. What a great location. What a great find." I think one of our crew members lived somewhere up there and recommended, like, "I know a place," which is just so cool.
That is very cool. Upstate New York listeners, I think, are going to be happy to know that that's a stand in for the English countryside. Because if you're like me and you've watched a lot of Austen adaptations from the BBC because you think that's going to cure your insomnia or your anxiety or whatever, I love them. I think they're so great. You know that those backdrops are super dominant. Like it's really hard to get that same feeling in the US. It's almost like its own character is that, bucolic countryside. So that's super
Yeah.
cool. I would not have known that.
Yeah, it is a surprise because it really really authentically feels like it, and they just found a pocket, a little place that sells it, and I think it really works.
So when you were preparing for this role, were you like listening to like classical music, or what were you kind of like listening to kind of get into the mindset of Vajana?
I do naturally listen to a lot of classical music. Actually, my partner Jonah and I were very big fans of like film scores. And like he has a Spotify playlist that he's been making over the years. He still adds to it all the time. And it's just like epic film scores from anything you can think of, from like Lord of the Rings to like Mrs. Doubtfire. And it's like the most beautiful melodies and tunes, and it's the type of thing that I want to say we play daily because there's probably like 18 hours of music on it or something. Like it's,
Wow.
you're not going to hear a lot of things like this over and over and over, especially if you play it for like an hour or two every day. So I naturally kind of, depending on the vibe, like I like to sing along to songs, but sometimes I just want to like vibe. And when I do that, like I put on film music and it really gives you like main character energy. And I remember like driving to sets and having the magical playlist on and it just being like something so delightful and like, yeah, magical.
That is very deep and dedicated to have. You said 18 hours of film score. I mean,
Mm,
wow. You're going to have to share that playlist with us with Jonah's
I will.
permission.
He's been working on it for so long and we've given it to all of our friends and like one of our friends recently had a baby and he's like, I put this on and it helps my baby fall asleep and it's this beautiful music and but you never know what you're going to get. Sometimes a random like action sequence comes on, sometimes there's an 8-minute song and it gets a little ominous and you're like, I'm going to skip this bit. But it's yeah, absolutely beautiful stuff and it's like you could just put it on in the background and just live your life and it's really pleasant. I recommend it to anybody that hasn't tried just like living or like doing the dishes to like really epic soundtracks.
Yeah, I love that. Do you have a favorite film score or soundtrack that you tend to come back to?
Oh gosh, there's so many
Or
good ones.
five, you know?
Yes. So many good ones. I not like not even at I feel like I can list like some names of people like I'm gonna like pull up some of the songs. Like I mean, obviously, John Williams is a favorite. So much John
Hmm.
Williams, but obviously, like Alan Silvestri is a big one. Looking at so many, even good ones from like Disney stuff.
Sure.
I also love the soundtrack to like Avatar. It's
Mm.
James Horner. Really good
Mm-hmm.
stuff from
Hmm.
Avatar. Yeah, those all stand out to me the most.
Yeah, those are great. Definitely very epic too.
Yeah, very sweeping, very epic.
Yes, yes.
Those will help you wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you were saying main character energy, I was like, oh, like John Williams and and
I
Avatar.
know.
Yeah.
Anything that John Williams puts music to just instantly becomes epic.
Well, speaking of main characters and heroines, because I feel like the Austen heads are going to find both this film and maybe this podcast, I did want to touch on something that the Jane Austen period drama plays with as a trope. And it's that in Austen, a lot of the female characters often fall victim to maladies, just random colds and chills and fevers and twisted ankles. Obviously the main character in period drama gets her period, and that's her malady. That's the thing that befalls her and sort of
Mm.
creates this dramatic arc. And I was curious, what I kind of wanted to go around and ask this. What do you think your Jane Austen malady would be? What would happen to you in a Jane Austen book or adaptation? I know
You
my
know,
answer.
okay, you know what is so silly that like when I was when I was like a kid, I had like some anxieties, but I had a very specific anxiety about randomly becoming dizzy and getting struck with vertigo and like not being able to function. It's like such a specific silly thing where you're just like, I need to sit down, I can't do anything for the rest of the day, I'm dizzy. And I
Wow. As a
think
kid, you're just getting the vapors? You're like, I need my fainting couch. I'm 8.
yes,
Too
yes,
much.
and like as a kid, like looking back, I would have a bunch of like dizzy spells, but I think honestly, I would like feel lightheaded for whatever reason, probably not enough sleep, probably dehydration, and then my anxiety would spiral and I would think, "Oh my God, I'm having a dizzy spell." And I wasn't, but I was making it happen because I was freaking out that I was. And it it just comes to mind because I recently had a cold and I had all the like inner ear stuff and I would have some dizzy spells. I was like, "Oh, this sucks." And I feel like that's a really silly thing that would happen to me as a character in that world.
I love
What
that. I
what
think
is
that's great.
yours?
You were meant to be in a Jane Austen
You
fruity
really were.
movie.
I like psychosomatic dizzy spells is kind of the perfect answer. Like I know you said you're not like an Austen acolyte, but that's like a perfect answer.
Thank
I
you.
love that for you. 8-year-old you. I think my answer would be that I would trip on a curb and then really dramatically skin both of my knees. And that has happened to me in life. Just, just nudging the curb with the wrong shoe. And then both your knees are torn up. This has happened to me at like concerts too, where they have those like steep concrete like stairs and you just
Yes.
trip. No one hunky has ever helped me in that situation though. So that would probably differ from an Austen
Not
moment.
yet.
Not yet. Like no one on horseback has ever come up
Yeah.
and been like, "Milady," So that's unfortunate.
There's
But
always tomorrow.
tomorrow is another day.
It is.
Ryan, what's happening to you? What's happening to you? Are you getting the vapors? What's your malady?
I think falling off a horse and breaking my leg.
You just break your whole leg? That's like serious. They shoot you for that in like Edwardian
No, they shoot
times.
the horse.
They shoot the horse and then you just go to a back room for like 3 weeks with a doctor that doesn't know what he's doing because medicine
That's true.
is
I
not
just
invented
I could just
yet.
get leeches on my leg.
Everything leads to death.
I mean, literally, there is an Austen character in Sense and Sensibility that twists her ankle, and that's like a whole huge arc. She has to like stay in bed because she twisted her ankle. It's a big deal. Like they think she's gonna die. It's very dramatic.
Yeah. Naturally.
You gotta watch out.
Yeah, I'm scared of horses.
You should be. They're big. They're scary.
They
I
can
have no
also tell
reason
that
to.
you're
Like
scared. And then
I've been horseback riding as a kid, but
Yes, they know your fear. That's true, right? They can sense your fear, so that it's kind of like a catch-22. It's like a weird. You're
it
scared
makes
of
it
them.
worse,
Mhm.
ironically.
Mhm. Yeah, but they're
Yeah.
big. Like you should have a healthy respect for horses for sure.
and also I've grown up in the suburbs. I have no business being on a horse.
True.
So Nicole, we like to end our episodes by playing a game called Life in 3 Tracks. I don't know if your publicist had sent that over to you.
Yes, I did get this question.
Okay, quick break. I have to share a song that I've been listening to lately. It's called Calling All Angels by Mero. It's a really emotional, kind of haunting track, but in a really subtle, beautiful way. It actually came out of a difficult time in their life, and you can feel that throughout the song. It has that feeling of reaching out or searching for something and not really knowing if anyone's listening. The sound is super immersive too, almost cinematic, but really stripped back, which I love. Mero is just one of those artists where the voice and writing feel really raw and original, and it's cool to see it already getting attention from places like Flaunt, V Magazine, and Grammy.com. Also, co-signed from Bob Boylan of NPR. If you're into more emotional, low-key music, I think you'll really like this one. I'll link it in the show notes so you can listen. You can stream Calling All Angels by Mero on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you listen to music.
Perfect. Co-host Nicole, why don't you take it away?
Right. So because we are a soundtrack podcast, we love to play this little game called Your Life in 3 Tracks, which imagines a world where you have your own film that you are starring in. And you are an actor, so this is sort of, I think, a perfect exercise that we maybe haven't done with an actor yet. But we want to ask you, if you're soundtracking your own life, what songs, what needle drops are you going to pick? So, Nicole, Alyse, Nelson, we'll start with, what song are you picking for your action sequence?
Okay, for my action sequence, I'm going to go with Separate Ways by Journey.
Oh, good. That's
Ooh.
good. They used that in Stranger Things, I think, in the last season, and it was pretty fun.
Yeah,
It's kind of
they
a fist
used
bumper
it definitely in the trailer.
in
I'm
the
like,
trailer,
did
yeah.
they use it for the? I don't remember, but like, it's such an epic song.
It's great.
You know? So
Great.
epic.
That's a great answer. I really love that answer for you. More people should pick Power 80s, I think, should be like a direction. So I love that. Okay, very cool. So what are you picking for your montage sequence? This can be shopping montage, training montage. It's your movie, so it's whatever you want it to be.
So when you sent these questions along, this was actually the easiest. This is the quickest one for me to answer. And it would be The Perfect Day by Hoku from the beginning of Legally Blonde.
Oh, so you're just kind of like recreating that sequence? Is that
I
the
love
thought?
the vibes. I don't know what's happening in my montage, but I'm like an optimistic, good vibes person. And I just feel like when that song comes on, like I will play that song just to lift my spirits. Perfect Day is just like the goal. It's like if this was a script and nothing went wrong, that would be the montage.
That's great. That's your pocket full of sunshine. So we keep listening to it over and over. Okay, love that. And then finally, what are you choosing for your romantic scene? And what's going on in the romantic scene in your mind?
The song I pick is I See the Light from Tangled.
Oh,
Oh.
sweet.
It's
I like
so
that.
cute. It's so cute. And I would be, okay, play on words here with the light. I would be in like a northern place, very, very cold, 3 o'clock in the morning, lying in the snow, watching the northern lights with the love of my life because I've always wanted to see the northern lights. That's like bucket list dream of mine. And so now I guess I have to play that song when I'm looking at the lights.
I love that. That's great.
Very cinematic.
Very
Yeah.
cinematic. I also love doing this exercise. I feel like you really get to know people without actually knowing them, because obviously we've never met, although I'm a Nicole and I'm also a vegetarian, so that's weird and cool.
That's very cool.
But yeah, I feel like we know you now, Nicole, so thank you for playing along.
Of course. Really great questions, guys. I love the theme of your podcast, and I love that you ask everybody that. Like you said, it's a great way to get to know someone.
Yeah, it's a fun exercise, and we get to learn about songs that maybe we haven't thought of in a while, and in a fun context too.
Yeah.
So thank you for playing along with us.
Thank you for having me.
So, is there anything that you are working on that's coming out that you'd like to plug on our podcast before we go?
There's a lot of things that are up in the air with the nature of the business, but the only thing that I can speak about is a feature film that I wrote myself that I'm producing and also
Ooh.
starring in, and we're hoping to shoot that in 2026. It's a big one, but we're assembling like a really great team and we're attaching really awesome people. And it's been one of those things that's been brewing in the background for a couple years, but we're finally getting close. And I'm really excited because professionally, I've never done more than acting. So this is like my first time stepping into those roles of like being a writer, taking notes, executing it, and also just learning how to produce and what that means and how to just like get something made. It's thrilling and it's so much fun, and I'm just looking forward to doing it and hopefully doing it more.
Well, very cool. That's really exciting. I know that things take a while to get made, but hopefully when it's ready to go, we can have you back on the podcast to talk about it.
Yeah, we would love that. That's really exciting. Congratulations. And we're looking forward.
Thanks, guys. I would love to come back. You're awesome.
Oh, thank you. So for now, people can still see you in the Jane Austen period drama. It is free to watch. You can go to janeaustenperioddrama.com. I think you can also just look it up on YouTube.
Yes, that's right. We released it on YouTube just because we got nominated for the Oscar and thought too many people are reaching out, being like, where can I see this? And prior to that, it had been under lock and key for many years with all the film festivals and the secretiveness of that. So we just thought, we're just going to put this out on the internet because we want people to be able to see what we've been doing and like what everybody's talking about. So definitely check it out. It's free. It's 13 minutes. It's a fun watch.
If our listeners want to follow you on social media and they want to see the behind the scenes of your upcoming project, what is the best way to follow you?
You can find me at the Nicole Nelson on any platform. I'm not big on TikTok, but I do have an account. I'm mostly on Instagram, and then I have a Facebook page as well.
Very cool. So we'll put that in our show notes, and we'll try to get you back on when you have your writing your writing debut. Hopefully when that comes out, hopefully we'll get you back on.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. So this episode will be out in early May. We'll let your publicist know. But yeah, it was a joy to talk to you, and we wish you the best of luck. It was really fun to sit down and talk about this film.
Yeah, it really was. Thank you for getting in touch with us. It's a fun convo. It was a really fun short film to watch, so we appreciate it. Come back anytime.
Yeah, of course, guys. Thank you so much.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Selling your car should feel like one less thing on your list, not one more. With Carvana, it is. Just go to Carvana.com, enter your license plate or VIN, and get a real offer down to the penny. No back and forth, no surprises, just an experience you can trust. Like your offer? Accept it. Schedule pickup, and we'll come to you with a check in hand. Your car, your timeline, your terms. Visit Carvana.com to sell your car today.
Carvana.
Delivery fees and terms may apply.